Hello, good afternoon. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here to talk to you about a particular topic of interest. I'm also here to answer your questions. So, what you can do is start putting your questions in the comments so that I can answer your questions. Now, um, what I want to do is send an urgent message out to spouses and children who are under 21 of permanent residents. That if you're in a situation where your permanent resident spouse or parent is mistreating you, apply for VAWA now. VAWA does allow you to stay here in the US, take control of your US immigration process without involving the spouse or parent. Now, why it's urgent is because when it comes on to being the spouse of a permanent resident or the son or daughter of a permanent resident, there is more strategy that goes into this. But a lot of you may not understand the strategy behind it to get to your papers while staying here, and you may discount this as not a great option for you to move forward. Let me give you an example. So, the reason why spouses and children of residents may not want to go ahead and apply for VAWA may not be the first option, even when they're being mistreated in that case, is because you do have to wait for your immigrant visa number to become available. Now, a year ago, guess what? That wasn't the case. If you were the spouse of a resident or the son or daughter of a resident, the priority date was current. That means there was no wait list to apply. Well, as of September 1st, there was a wait list, right? September 1st, 2023, a wait list started. And because of that, a lot of the spouses and the children of residents couldn't apply for their work permit, couldn't apply for their travel document or their green card application at the same time that they're applying for the VAWA petition. So a lot of spouses of residents said, never mind, they're going to have to find another option, or they're going to do the worst thing ever, which is stick it out with the spouse or parent who's mistreating them. I did have clients that went along and still filed their VAWA petition. They filed their VAWA petition according to my advice. And now, guess what? We are up to June 15, 2024. My clients who took that strategic step of still applying for their VAWA, even though they had to wait a little time, still can now apply for their adjustment of status application, their work permit, and their travel document. So it's not to say that you're going to be waiting for years between September, let me see, September, November, December, February, March, April, May, June. So up 10 months. So they waited about 10 months to apply for their work permit, their green card, and their travel document. So in this case, they're going to win, right? Because they went ahead and filed their VAWA petition first and then waited until it was time for their name to come up on top of the wait list. Guess what happens to those people who decided since they have to wait those months, they're not going to file anything. They're just not going to. They're going to wait for something miraculous to happen. Guess what happens to them now? They can't apply for anything right now, right? They still don't qualify for their work permit, their green card, their travel document because they did not apply when they were advised to apply. So the point here is when you're the spouse or you're the child of a resident, apply now for the VAWA petition. Yes, you have to file the petition first. And the petition, other than the prima facie determination letter, which can offer some benefits while you wait, Other than that, you will definitely have to wait, but it doesn't mean you're going to wait for years. Right now, by the way, right now, the priority date is June. It moved from September 1st, 2023 to as of August 1st, it's going to be June 15th, 2024. That means that whoever filed their VAWA application on or before June 15, 2024 can now apply for their adjustment of status application. That's the green card, their work permit, and their travel document, right? So whenever I advise, I also advise from a strategic point of view. I don't just look at what the now, I look at the goals going forward, either in the short term or the long term for my clients. So I'm excited that for my clients that yes, they had to experience the wait. After they applied for the VAWA, they can now move forward. And hopefully we will see the wait list moving along faster. It made a big jump from September 2023 to June 15th, made a big jump. So that means that I'm hoping that's a good sign that we may be moving the list. They may be moving the list faster, and we may see current again, where when it says current, it means you don't have to wait any time. You can apply for all your applications at the same time. But this is where I say this is such an example of why you should act now. Don't wait, act now, right? And the opportunities will come. Because those that sit down and they think about getting it right now, rather than thinking strategically about how they can make their way to the immigration relief, they are losing right now, right? Because they wanted to wait because there's a wait list. They're not going to get it right now, so they lost because they did not submit their application at that time. But those who did are going to be winning now, right? So do it now with everything. By the way, with all your applications, do it now. All right. So let's get into some questions here. I see a lot of questions going through. So let us see. Um, My petition got rejected due to payment issue. Is there any possibility to resubmit it? Absolutely. When your application is rejected, they're giving you an opportunity to resubmit it. Now, I don't know if you have a deadline that you had to meet. That can get a little more complicated. But whenever they send back a rejection, it means that they are giving you the opportunity to resubmit it with the correct fee. What are the benefits of the T visa? Can one file for their under 21 child with the T visa application at the same time? Absolutely. Yes. Your children, your spouse can apply at the same time. When you get approved, your children get approved. Keep in mind, by the way, if your child is about to turn 21 and that petition is submitted before the child turns 21, then they get in anyway. So when you get approved, they get approved. So now some of the benefits of the T visa is that guess what? You are in status again. They don't hold, even before you get approved, they don't hold working without a permit. So if you've been in the US for years working, it's understandable. When you apply for the T visa, they're not holding that against you. When you get approved for the T visa, you are able to have your status like anybody else. You have your legal status here. You have permission to live and work anywhere you want to in the United States. You can also get the additional support. So the T visa allows you, it doesn't force you, but it gives you the option of contacting a case manager that can help you to get additional support if you need it. Additional support means if you need medical care, if you need housing, if you need food assistance, if you need to get financial aid for your education, these all count as part of the benefits of the T visa. When my clients get approved, we get an email from the Department of Human Services, that is the national office, and they allow us to then submit for a request for a certification letter that then assigns them a case manager and provides for them the benefit of contacting them for extra support. Right. You do get your social security number and your work permit. So you get your 4-year work permit automatically. And when we apply for the work permit for your derivatives, that means your child or your spouse, they also get the work permit along with you. So this has been a life-changing benefit for my clients. My clients who had no hope have hope. They're living, they're working here, they have their children here with them. So it is, the benefits are priceless in this case. All right. How long after arriving in the U.S. as an LPR can I file for my minor child? Right away. If you're a green card holder, you can get it right away. If a green card doesn't expire, can you get a replacement without paying fee, or do I still have to pay it? So the question is, if it's not lost or stolen, why would you want a replacement? So if if it's hasn't expired but you lost it or it was stolen, then there's a special application that you can apply for, the I-90 form, to be able to get it replaced. You do have to pay a fee for that one. The only time you don't have to pay a fee is when the mistake is on the USCIS and maybe they fail to send it, or they put the wrong information on the card. In that case, they would do it for free, but you have to show them that it's on them. My brother has a felony back in '89. He entered the US as a minor. Now he's 60. Will they give him problems getting his documents to stay? So it depends on what his current situation is. So he has a felony now, but does that felony make him deportable? This happened way back in '89, so he's still here. So we would have to talk more about this. Whenever it comes to criminal issues, it really is on a case by case basis. My follow up questions here, I have a lot of follow up questions. How did they enter? Even if they entered as a minor, what's their current status? Do they have their green card? Are they in the middle of applying for their papers? Did they get some form of deferred action? So my advice, my legal advice, would depend on the answers to those questions and follow up questions. My husband filing came through 20 years, but he never went to the States at all. What would be his next move? He wants to start his process again. So once the I-130 is approved, then it goes to the embassy to be processed. If he never took any action, they close the case. So it would be a matter of then refiling to be able to have him get his papers again, or to ask for some form of reinstatement so that they can start the process again for him. Do you get the work permit with the T visa? Absolutely. The work permit comes as soon as you're approved. Does VAWA applicant get the same benefits like those of the T visa? So I would say here that VAWA, if you have the choice between VAWA and the T visa, I would say, if I had to choose between the two, T visa would be an alternative. VAWA is the best option. It's the best option because it is a direct path to permanent residence. Now, with the T, you do have to wait till you're approved to get that. With VAWA, when once you're approved, you get VAWA deferred action first, and then within about 6 months to a year, you get your green card. If you play your cards right and you make sure you submit everything correctly, within a year of getting that VAWA deferred action, that's protection from any kind of deportation, that's permission to stay here, you get your green card, right? With green card, it offers the ultimate benefit. You are now a resident of the US. Doesn't mean that you get to vote or have the advantages of a citizen, of course. Very important you know the difference. But you are a permanent resident. And the next step is to get your citizenship. Now, with VAWA, the benefits we don't get an email from the Department of Human Services regarding, get assigning a case manager. However, what we do get is what's called a prima facie determination letter. And that can be very helpful. That's during your process, by the way, about I'd say 2 to 3 months after we file your VAWA petition, we're getting the prima facie. And the prima facie allows you to um, go to the office, go to the Human Services office or the office in your state that provides benefits, and then you can get a case manager or a social worker to help you go through what you could qualify for in the state. Now it differs from state to state, just depending on the laws of the state, whether the state chose to expand on any kind of benefits and extend this to certain qualifying immigrants. So I would say it's on a case by case basis. Some states offer more benefits than others, but once you get to VAWA approval, you're well on your way to the green card there. Now, another advantage, by the way, of VAWA is, and what makes it a preferred um, immigration benefit, is that you get the work permit and your travel document while you wait. With the T visa, while the T visa process is a shorter time, it can range anywhere from 6 months to 18 months to get it. On average, I'm seeing my clients get it in 12 months. But what I'm seeing, what happens is once you're approved for the T, that's when the benefits kick in, not really before that. With VAWA, you get to apply for your work permit and your travel document and your green card while you wait for the VAWA approval. Just a question. I'm undocumented, not married. What should I do to get situated? Just asking. Please, thank you. So there are multiple ways to be able to get your papers fixed. And what we do in our consultation is we sift through your information, we ask you your questions, and then we see if any one of those options will work. This is how we've managed to help many of our clients to be able to fix their papers, even if they're not married. But we need to talk to you because we are looking at multiple options at the same time. He entered with his travel documents, so that's still not enough. Have your relative do a consultation. That's going to be the best thing. How long does it take to get the rejection notice for H-1B from USCIS? So if you got notice that they rejected it, you'd be looking at about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, sometimes it takes a while. Yeah, so I would say 3 weeks because sometimes they're sifting through it first, sorting it through, and then they send it back. Good afternoon. How long does it take to get married to get the green card? So you can get married at any time, and how long it's going to take is going to depend on the state. I know most states you can go to the courthouse and get married within a day or two of getting your marriage license. So in that regard, there's no law that says you have to wait a certain amount of time. to get married and then to file the papers. You can get married and file. Theoretically, you can get married and then file right away. But what I would say is it advisable for you to file? You have to be very careful about um, filing without sufficient evidence, without knowing fully what you're getting into, what you and your spouse are getting into. So, yeah, get married and then get legal advice and then start preparing those paperwork, but give yourself some time. Give us a call. Let's talk. How can I talk to you in private? Through the consultation. It's Attorney Bria and I who do appointments right now. So you can always call the office and they will get you in on one of our schedules. You can also choose yourself by going to the link in the profile and you'll see to schedule your own appointment. Go there. We are filling up, schedules are filling up quickly. So please don't wait. Make sure you get on my schedule or get on Attorney Bria's schedule. How long does a person have to wait to get a response for I-130 being approved? I'd say 9 to 12 months to get that approval. Are you seeing a jump in wait times for I-130 approval? My husband filed August 2022. That's a very long for I-130, unless you're a resident. I am seeing them in 9 to 12 months. So maybe you need to get in touch with them and see. Now, if it's over the processing time, you can submit a query, and that tends to push things along. How can I get work and travel visa from Jamaica? You'll have to do it through an employer or through a sponsor. My kid is my kid is a citizen. I'm not. I am. So no, your child will have to be 21 or over to then file for you. You get your green card, and then in 5 years you can get your citizenship. Do you have to wait for VAWA approval because getting before getting your child here? Yes. If your child is outside of the US, you have to wait until you're approved and you've gotten the green card before your child can come in on an immigrant visa. How long after doing biometrics do you get your green card if married to a US citizen? So I don't usually look at from the date of the biometrics. It's usually from the date of filing. So I'd say anywhere from 10 to 12 months on average. All right. Hello, I forgot to mention my I-485 adjustment of status application that I received a study grant from the Department of Defense. Does that affect my case? So it depends. It depends on what you're applying for. Um, I'd have to understand what you're applying for. Could I get some help from you for filing my work permit? So you can always give us a call, schedule your appointment, and then we can talk about what you need help with, what you qualify for, and then we can move forward. Please give us update on latest update visa bona fide determination dates your office has received, if possible. So it depends on if are you talking about the U visa bona fide determination dates. So it's looking at we're looking at about a year and a half for you to get that letter. I have a pending I-360 and I-485 dated September 2021. Can I also apply to the new parole of U.S. citizen spouses? So, um, we haven't seen all the requirements. However, usually when you're applying for parole in place, the spouse has to very much be involved in that process, right? The spouse usually has to write a statement as to why you should be deserving of the parole in place. So it is going to involve that spouse. Um, so it's we have to see what the requirements are, but they may very well ask for bona fides of the marriage, and there may be some conflicting information between what you present for the parole in place versus what you present for your VAWA. I don't know if you're still with your spouse. It sounds like you're still married. Don't know if you're separated. But if you're submitting one thing under parole in place and then you filed an I-360, you also have to think about it strategically to determine whether it is going to be a good idea. Will it raise more questions for immigration to doubt your VAWA petition than them just, is it going to do more damage than good? Because if so, you're depending on approval of your VAWA petition, obviously because the spouse isn't involved, but the parole in place may require involvement of the spouse. But even if it does, you may have to show bona fides of the marriage. And in that case, you have to be very careful not to be contradicting yourself. So we'll have to see, and I'll definitely give you an update on what the requirements are. But when it's similar to when you're applying for VAWA, and then I get the question, what if I make up with my spouse? Can I just go back to the marriage-based process? Well, at that point, I would say you really do have to, once you apply for VAWA, you have to make the decision under my watch, you have to make that decision to stay with VAWA, because going back to the marriage-based process, first of all, with us, there's a reason you went to VAWA, right? And it's because you have a spouse you can't trust. But then furthermore, now you risk contradicting, creating contradictions in your application, and not necessarily contradictions, but the inconsistency of it all is definitely going to have the officer asking more questions, and they may jump to conclusions. Sometimes officers are quick to jump to conclusions, even if it's not justified. They may be very quick to jump to conclusions that it's hard to get them out of thinking about. So we'll see but I have doubts about that one. C9 EAD has been pending for over a year, is the only option to sue USCIS. Now, if you've tried everything else and you're still not getting any results, then you can try to sue. But keep in mind that a year is not outrageous. But what you can do is check where your application is pending, and if the processing time wherever your application is pending is, say, 6 months, then you can definitely move forward with submitting an inquiry about your specific case based on the fact that your case is going for over a year, but their processing time is saying 6 months. So what's going on? We've done that, and we've done that to kind of nudge the USCIS, and that has been enough for them to push forward and issue the EAD. So that may be may want that to be your first step before jumping into suing. U visa approve, how to apply for emergency travel document. So you're there. They do have a specific button, or you can do it through, I think, your account, or they have a certain link on the USCIS account. You can go there and explore the link, and then when you submit it, they'll call you and schedule an emergency meeting with you to move forward if they approve it. With a travel document, will they let me in if I leave the country? I have heard people who travel and not get back, and they did not get back in. So that is always a risk. I always say the risk is not zero, right? But that's what the travel document is there for. If you really need to travel and your risk of anything happening is lower, then you're doing the right thing by having the travel document. So I would say evaluate your particular risk. And this is where having an attorney is very important because, I do have clients that I say, no, I don't agree with it, don't travel. And I do have clients who I say, go have fun, you're good. So it's going to depend on your level of risk. And so those people you've heard about, maybe they faced a higher risk, they took the risk and lost. So a person with a felony could get a green card by T visa. Oh, yes, this is one of my favorite things about the T visa. Now, with the T visa, whenever our clients have a background that where they're permanently barred, or they're barred from getting a green card, when we submit the T visa application in those cases, we also ask them to submit a waiver to ask for forgiveness for this, offense or violation. And should they forgive the offense, we call it inadmissibility, then guess what happens? It also wipes it off for purposes of the green card. That means that as long as you're applying as a T status holder to get your green card through adjustment of status, whatever was forgiven at the T visa stage will be forgiven at the green card stage as well. So that is one of the great parts about the T visa as well. We've done it for our clients, and our clients have been very happy. Once again, I've said this where the T visa, of course, you do have to qualify. Keep in mind that the T visa is for cases where you've been forced to do things against your will, whether by an intimate partner, an employer, by friend, family. And when I say against your will, it could be you maybe came to live with family and they forced you to work in their house. Maybe you got employed by an employer to babysit and you found yourself being a nanny, bookkeeper, maid all at the same time when you just agreed to be a nanny, right? Maybe you got hired by a nursing home or a group home, and you found that many of those in those situations they tell them, work, you'll have two other workers helping you out, and you'll have one patient to take care of, and you can leave whenever you want, you'll have your own space, you'll have 2 days off, and then and on top of that you'll get this really good pay, right? And then, and sometimes not even really good pay, but reasonable enough for you to accept. And then you go and start working for them, and then you find out that you're the only person taking care of 5 people. You're not allowed to leave because you're the only person there. So they're restricting your movement. They're paying you late, or they're paying you less, or they're reducing your pay. You don't have your own privacy. You maybe have to sleep on the couch, or you have to sleep in the closet, or you have to sleep in a patient's room. In that case, that is called labor trafficking by fraud, and it qualifies you for the T status. So, where you do qualify for the T visa, but you have a background that you're worried about, like, if you have a felony, you had an arrest, you entered the country without permission, these can be forgiven once they approve you for the T visa, and then they evaluate your background and they see fit to forgive you for it, they will, and you can move forward with your life then. So, one of the benefits of the T visa as well, where you are qualified for it. Thanks so much, Donna. Um, My I-765C9 case transferred twice this month. I got a notice of action that it has been transferred to Nebraska. Have had such, yes, we've had many, and it's just processing behind the scenes. It's just they're just allocating workload, nothing to worry about. If someone is filing for VAWA case and after filling out she gets divorced, can she tell USCIS or she didn't need it? Okay, so yeah, I would update USCIS. So whenever if you want to get divorced, I mean, it's not going to affect your VAWA case, but you do have to update them about the fact that you're now divorced. When you say risk, what do you mean? So it varies when it comes to risk. It really is on a case by case basis. What does it mean? And when I say risk, we're still talking about the Java document here. What does it mean when there's a biometrics appointment for I-130 after VAWA has been filed? So there may be some communication issues going on, and they still haven't held the adjustment of status application in place while and switch to VAWA. So, whenever we have a client that was in the marriage-based process, now they're to VAWA, we have to inform the office. The office tends to stop the I-130 process and move forward with the VAWA process. Without, of course, disclosing that to the spouse. So they're not going to call the spouse and tell them all of that, but they just tend to have it sitting there. My sister applied for VAWA and adjusted status by citizen son, but she had multiple entries with her tourist visa overstayed. Last time was 12 years ago. Does she need a waiver? So if she's adjusting status through her US citizen son, 21 or over, then and she can show the last time she entered legally. No, usually not. No waiver there. I'm waiting for 5 months for prima facie letter in VAWA. Is it normal? Sometimes it does go longer. I'm noticing it's shorter now. We're getting it in about 2 to 4 months. 5 months isn't far off. I would say 3 to 6 months is still within reasonable time. How long is a prima facie approval wait time? I'd say 2 to 6 months. Um, how I would like to ask if I'm going to apply for VAWA, will it affect my LPR husband if he's going to apply for naturalization? So no, now they're not allowed to disclose any information about you applying for VAWA to the spouse. Another thing to note here is that the immigration um, it's fact based, right? And they're looking at your application and the facts in there, but at the same time, they have to evaluate your spouse's good moral character. But they have to be careful about how they look at the good moral character. They usually look at arrest, something that is on record. When it comes on to, certain types of mistreatment of their spouse, it's something that is too subjective, I believe, for an officer to use against the spouse and their good moral character. They have to have something solid. So, for example, one, they're not allowed to disclose anything about VAWA and mistreating the spouse, right? They're not allowed to disclose that to the spouse. If that officer does that, they can get into trouble. It's against the law. So they can't give them an inkling, a hint that the information that they're using against your spouse, if they were going to do that, is based on a VAWA application. So, it's not proven to be true. And then furthermore, keep in mind that they tend to go on what's in the background check, what's in their background check, what's on the public record. So if your LPR husband, that's legal permanent resident husband, was arrested for domestic violence, convicted for domestic violence, then yes, they can use that against your LPR husband. But when it comes on to the VAWA application, that's supposed to be completely confidential and separate and apart from your LPR husband and his citizenship, then it's very unlikely that they're going to use that against them. If they do that, it's against the law. They violated confidentiality. And then while you do qualify, right, for VAWA based on verbal, financial abuse, and mistreatment, it's some the actions. This is something, even when you're in living in real life and you call the police, unfortunately, police are not going to arrest anybody for verbal abuse, right? They're not going to. So it is something then that is very hard to hold somebody to, and apply real consequences like that based on something that they can't even be arrested for, right? But if they committed violent acts or violated the law in the process of mistreating you, then in that case, it's going to be held against them. Can a common law relation file for VAWA in the states where common law is recognized, common law marriage is recognized? Yes. As long as you can show that your common law relationship, your common law marriage was recognized. How long is the prima facie approval wait time? Answered that. I filed for humanitarian visa for my very ill mom in May. I filed expedited, but nothing. Yes, their idea of expedited is twisted. I got an email from USCIS that my I-485 approved. Do I still go to the interview? Congratulations. No, it's very unlikely. Once your I-485 is approved, the next step is your green card is going to come in the mail. My I-485 got denied because I didn't submit my I-864 on time, but my I-130 is currently still processing. So I-130, they can still, because they can process the I-130 independently of the I-485. You can still be approved for the I-130 and denied for an I-485. So it doesn't mean that they can still process the I-130, approve it, but just means you may have to refile the I-485. How long is the prima facie approval wait time? So I said 2 to 6 months. My daughter brought me a month ago. Can I petition for my kids? No green card yet. So once you are a green card holder, if you got the I-551 stamp in your passport, you're a green card holder. You can apply for your kids. Oh, thank you so much. How long is the prima facie? Oh my gosh, I answered that one. Let's see. How long after the prima facie letter do you get an actual approval? So I would say about a year and a half to 2 years after you get the prima facie. You'd be looking at approval of the VAWA and then the green card. My fiance can't have a bank account right now because of previous fraud issues with his bank. Will it affect filing? You just have to find other. Now, if he has fraud in his background, it may, if he was arrested for fraud, but if it's not anything to do with his background, he just can't get the bank account, find alternative evidence to show that the both of you commingle your funds. How long is the prima facie approval wait time? 2 to 6 months. So I answered that. I'm here over 3 months. I have been seeing someone. She really wants me to stay. Can I get married at 3 months? If that's how you want to, it's a big decision. But if you want to move forward, build a life with this person, absolutely. And a part of building your life with this person is to file papers after you get married. So yes, you're allowed to do that after 90 days. How long does it take to get travel document if you're a T visa holder? So I would say it can range from 3 to 6 months, unless you have an emergency. Of course, you want to apply for an emergency travel document, which can get it to about 4 weeks. NVC said they received my K1 case a week ago. When will I receive my welcome letter? So we usually get it right away by email if you gave them an email. When is someone eligible to file for citizenship on asylum base? So first asylum, You get granted asylum, then you apply for your green card a year later, then 5 years later, you can apply for citizenship. Can I still use my EAD to get work even though USCIS spell my name wrong? Um, you definitely want to make sure that, and it's frustrating because your name is spelled wrong. So, that means that you can't it puts a damper on a lot of things. But what I would say here is you probably have to show your employer that it's an error so that you don't stall on working. But at the same time, you also have to notify after you notify the employer and make sure you and the employer understand that it's a valid EAD. It's just that the name is wrong, then you have to show proof of that. Then go back to USCIS and you have to ask them to correct that for you. Because you definitely don't want to be traveling with something like that. But as far as working, as long as it's a valid current EAD, you just have to get it corrected and then explain to the employer at the same time. Because that replacement, by the way, can take about a year. It can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. How long is the wait time for prima facie approval? So I'm going to say this again, 2 to 6 months. Let's see. What are examples of evidence of relationship if my husband and I live in two different countries? So, now, even though you live in two different countries, your WhatsApp, if you do WhatsApp or whatever app you use to communicate, you can show your phone records, your WhatsApp records to show you're constantly in touch with your significant other. If you send money or they send money to you, that's going to be good evidence. If you own property together, sometimes even though you live in two different countries, you still own property, you still lease property, you still, for example, may have a car together, your travel itinerary, and travel, if you stay together, you go vacation together, travel itinerary with both of your names, showing how often you travel to see each other. Affidavits from friends and family are going to be good pieces of evidence. So if it was transferred to the local office, then it means that the next step is they're going to probably either schedule an interview or process it, waive the interview. Can someone who is approved uh, for migrate can still get? I'm sorry. That is a little convoluted. I can't understand it. My case still at NVC, almost 2 years now, still waiting for the interview letter. So it should come anytime soon because that's about the wait time is 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years. What determines a strong asylum case? So there are many requirements that you have to meet, and that's what a lot of people don't understand with asylum. Asylum doesn't just mean that you don't want to go back to your country because you don't feel safe, but you do have to show that you fall within a protected group, or you're being targeted based on certain characteristics. So, for example, are you being targeted because of your political opinion? That means that you may have an opinion that you're being attacked for. Um, the other is, are you being attacked because of your religious beliefs? Are you being attacked because of your particular social group that you're a part of? These are That's the first thing you have to show, right? So it's not just based on you're afraid to go back to your country because once you were a victim of a robbery, you have to show that there's more to that victimization that falls within one of those categories: your identity, such as your race, ethnicity, your national origin, your religion, your particular social group, your political opinion. That is what is going to determine. And then you have to look at each part of this, right? Do you have a credible fear of persecution, based on what you've seen others in your particular group or others similar to you go through, or based on past persecution that you face? So you have to, when we are doing asylum cases, we have to break down each category to be able to show that our clients qualify, for asylum. Good morning. Can I start filing for my married daughter and husband and child with my green card? No. Green card holders cannot file for married children, sons or daughters. You have to become a citizen first. How much is the consultation? It's 150. My daughter brought me here. Okay, so I answered that. Can my son file for me while I'm here on a visiting visa? Can I return home while on filing? So keep in mind that I'm not your attorney and I don't know your circumstances. This is where it's very important to get a consultation so you don't make any mistakes here. But generally, if your son is a US citizen, age 21 or older, um, then he can file for a parent, even if you came on a visitor's visa. So the answer is maybe, just depending on if your son fits within that category. Can you work a government job with a work permit? In some cases, yes. So they do have restrictions. It depends on what kind of position you're applying for. My spouse got his green card on 3-year mark of our marriage. Can he file for citizenship immediately? No, he has to wait for 3 years after the approval of his green card to apply. I got here a month ago, so I answered that, answered that. Um, My family member was a victim of a hate crime. We have police report. Do they qualify for the U visa? Yes. Now keep in mind that I haven't spoken to your relative. It's very important that they get a consultation. We can definitely speak with you and help you with this, but we need to understand the facts here. But if it adds up to a hate crime that they were the victim of, the police report was made, then absolutely, the U visa is definitely a big possibility here. My sister here from Jamaica and her son wants to file for her, and then what she wants to go back to home. She needs to get advice about the best way to move forward here. How long after your green card approval? My U.S. citizen husband filed the I-130. So I would, if you're outside of the country, 2 to 3 years. If you're in the country, it could be anywhere from 10 to 12 months if you play your cards right. I came to the border more than a year now and I did not file my asylum. Then once you miss the deadline, it can get a lot harder to get asylum. So just be careful about that and try to get legal advice as soon as possible. Good morning. I'm changing address often. My husband comes. Do I change address with USCIS each time? Every time you change your address, you're obligated to submit an AR-11 form. I apply I-360 on January 13, receipt in 1 month. How long prima facie takes? So I'd say 2 to 6 months. I'm in the US 1 year and I did not put in my asylum, so now, keep in mind that if my schedule is filled up, that's why we have other attorneys. So we have Attorney Brea. Make sure you're scheduling. Attorney Brea and I work closely. We give the same help. The reason that Attorney Brea is there is because I want to help as many people as possible, and I only have so much time in the day. So this is where I have extended our services to help as many people. So please don't hesitate to book with Attorney Bria. Attorney Bria works closely with me, has the same knowledge about immigration law, and make sure that we can help you. So schedule with Attorney Bria as soon as possible. Love the colors of the top. Thanks so much. Yes. Where are you located? So we have an office in Delray Beach and Boca Raton. I am 4 years in citizenship. When should I am 4 years in residency. I'm thinking, when should you go for citizenship? 5 year mark. Do you think this new executive order will give green card before the elections? It's unlikely that that's going to happen. Green cards won't come before the elections, but people can start getting their parole first so that they can apply for the green card. And for those of you who are listening, your citizens, vote. That is how we're going to make sure that our relatives, our friends, our clients, um, people here, hardworking immigrants here, that they are safe. And it's not only about being an immigrant, that's just one of the concerns. There are many concerns that we're looking at that affect our rights, right? Even as a Black woman here, there are concerns for us as Black individuals in the United States regarding what the plans are to even attack our own rights and what we have fought for, what our ancestors have fought for. So make sure, if you're a citizen, a US citizen, you vote, because that is how we're going to make sure that even after the election, we have immigrants, deserving immigrants, can get their green cards, right? And President Biden has made it very clear through his actions that he's looking at fair solutions for immigrants. And not only fair solutions for immigrants, but fair solutions for everybody involved, right? To make sure that we're maintaining a status quo and building a better future for the United States, that we're maintaining the laws that we've had that have kept us strong. I mean, we're still fighting, but that give us the ability to fight better for our own rights. So think about that, because it's going to affect all of us, not just immigrants. All right. So that's it for me today. So I stayed longer to make up for yesterday, aiming to be back tomorrow. So please look out for me. And as soon as I hop on, you can ask your questions and I will come with a topic of interest. Please like, subscribe, and and that way, when I come on, you'll get notification and you can come on as well if you're available. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much for your time. Bye bye.